then when you hire into both of these companies, so Pricity and Parasols, you mentioned that you predominantly have taken on, say, graduates in the past, and then training those graduates up. Across those two businesses, how many of the staff that work underneath those two businesses have actually come through the graduate scheme, as opposed to, say, coming directly from a company where they have experience?
I think at the last count, there's about 22 would come through the grad scheme.
That's pretty
So
impressive.
yeah, little over half. Yeah, I mean, there is still need for experience at times. So obviously in Apricity, when we started, as much as I felt the frustrations of compliance, and as much as I had paraplanning knowledge at new advice firms and so on, I'd never worked in compliance. So my initial hire there had to be somebody with that expertise. We can then bring in graduates, and then you've got experience. So there's kind of two main guys in Apricity. One of them actually was an advisor, which really mattered to me, because he came in going, I've sat there as an advisor and had a really negative experience with compliance, so I'll make sure that I'm not doing that. I'm not just bringing traditional compliance that I'll then replicate. And the other guy's a huge amount of compliance experience, but is just Apricity through and through. Absolutely hates the way that it has been done and the negativity of it. So once you've got them in place, then you can bring the grads in, because then you've got experience and you can create that training framework. And we've recently, so all the tech that we built in the past, we outsourced. And because there's so much that we want to do with technology, we've brought that internal. And again, my initial hire is a good quality, well-experienced software developer. And when we next open the grad scheme, we'll bring in junior, graduate developers, because now I've got that experience for somebody to bring them in and train them off. My preference is to hire based on values, that you were talking about, culture. You just can't replicate it. You can teach people, in terms of paraplanning, I can teach people to paraplan, but their values need to align with the company. And with software, or my first compliance hires, that's the hard bit, because I can't hire based just on values. I do have to rely on their experience, because I need them to build it up. But once you've got that in place, yeah, it's brilliant. You can bring people in, you can train them, they learn your way. You know that you've got a good personality fit, and you've got people with the right kind of resources to be able to do that.
Fantastic. So you're big advocate then of taking on grads over experience, as long as you rightfully bring somebody in with a bit of experience, somebody who can kind of head it up. And then hopefully that person then can become a mentor or a guide, a trainer to the less experienced guys, but who have the right attributes to make it in Apricity or Parasols.
Yeah.
So the grad scheme for you has worked really, really well. Yeah, a lot of companies in financial planning, especially financial planning, do seem to struggle with taking on a graduate. They want experience over anything. They have to have 2 years experience, or they have to have level 4 diploma. I come across some amazing guys who've got such really, the right attributes that would make it, say, as a financial planner, for example, but they're just getting told that, oh no, you can't join us because you haven't got the experience. But yet the industry
And
is
then
really,
how do you get the experience?
yeah, and the industry is really, really struggling to attract younger people to it, and they wonder why. In so it's amazing to see a company that's investing so heavily in the graduate side of things. And I assume as well, these guys come to you. You're not having to spend a huge amount of money on recruitment fees or anything along those lines, because it's when you're attracting grads, it's far easier and more cost effective, isn't it, to hire these guys?
It is. And we honestly, I still don't know how it happened, but we decided to call it the grad scheme, keep it simple. And somehow it must just been a stroke of luck. The URL, www.thegradscheme.co.uk, was available for like £20. I know. I can only assume some bigger company had it at some point and had let it go, and we happened to find it. But it means that when you Google a grad scheme, we literally have the domain name for it. So quite quickly we kind of put a simple website up. Your challenge then was, the first roles we were recruiting for through the grad scheme was paraplanner. So your immediate challenge is, even if grads come along to it, they're going to say, well, what's a paraplanner? Why do I want to do that? So we had to be really sort of tongue-in-cheek with our sort of messaging around it and explaining what a paraplanner was. But then where we got to pre-COVID was that we were bringing in 2 cohorts a year. So April and October we were running them. And we were getting sort of, literally, it was just there on the website, and we would do the occasional mail around some unis, and from that we were getting sort of 120 applicants for each cohort. So yeah, really, really minimal costs once it was like up and running.